want to start actually. Actually, no, do you know what? We'll start with the Man United stuff, right? Because I just want to get it off my chest and I can enjoy the rest of the show. What do you boys make? Genuinely, what do you boys make of this? Because Chris Wheeler in the Daily Mail today has stated that players don't like the system, that when they win games, it's more about individual brilliance than it is the system and the tactics. Training issues. They're behind the manager, but they don't like what he does. And essentially they're calling for this manager, like Ten Hag did, like Oli did, like Jose did, like the interim managers did. They want the manager to adjust and adapt to them and their skill set and how they want to play. Some Man United fans have rejected this and said we're just going down the same path as before. We need to back the manager. Others are stating, have you seen the football? It's awful. The manager's a bust. Listen to the players. I'll go to ULB first. Who should be listened to here, in your opinion?
That's a great question. I think you're in a mess. Yeah, and obviously the league table shows that you're in a mess, but I think you're in the mud, right? Because for me, yeah, I think we might have spoken about this a little bit on previous shows, but this manager, yeah, is not going to change his system, right? Because if he does that, it's the start of the end for Amorim, right? That's what Ten Hag tried to do. Yeah, he tried to play the football, realised he couldn't do it, and then he adapted his game to the players. You're done. So the manager is being stubborn. He's playing his system. A little bit like Pep Guardiola did when he joined City. Yeah, he played a system in that first year. Sometimes we got cooked. A lot of people questioned whether he could do it. The rest is history, right? So Amorim doesn't want to change his system because he doesn't want to adapt to the players. He wants the players to adapt to him or show the club that these players cannot play in his system, and therefore, come the summer, they all need to leave and get a new bunch of players. The players obviously want the manager to adapt to him because now the players are starting to get flack. And let's be honest, the players, a lot of them are mercenaries. They're there for the money. A lot of these players are just doing it for the money these days, yeah. But they don't want to be 15. They don't want to be getting cooked all the time. They want the manager to play a system that they can play. The problem is, it's not going to work because the manager's not going to change his tactics and the players are not good enough to play in that system. So I go back again. I'm sorry, yeah, to sort of like go a different route. This comes down to the sporting directors, yeah, and the ownership, because they have just created an absolute environment for failure at your football club. That is what they've done, an environment for failure. Yeah, they've got a manager who can't play good football with these players, and they've got these players who are just a lot of bums. A lot of them need to be moved on anyway. They didn't do much in the January transfer window, so they've not helped the manager out. So then you've got to pick your poison. Who do you think's right already? He's only been here a couple of months, and already we're having player versus manager debates. This is all down to the ownership. It's all down to the sporting director, yeah? Ten Hag should have left in the summer. They should have brought Amorim in the summer if that's who they wanted, and they should have got players in. So, listen, I ain't going to pick a side here on the players or the manager because it depends on the viewpoint. I personally think that Amorim shouldn't change his tactics. Now, I know that goes against what a lot of people say. A lot of people say, no, he needs to get results and he needs to adapt his game. But if he adapts his game, he'll end up like every single manager that's come after Fergie, sacked. So I think he's doing the right thing. I actually think he should walk. That's my honest opinion. I think he should walk. I think he should just walk out of this and go, listen, I can't do this in this club. Yeah, it needs a whole new 25-man squad. It's not going to happen. I ain't the man for this. Yeah, I think he should walk. However, I don't actually really blame the players or the manager here. I blame the ownership and the sporting directors. They have absolutely cooked your club. Yeah, the decision to sack Ten Hag, yeah, after the season already started, after he'd given him even more money, and they get a manager who plays a completely different formation, different style of tactics, is absolutely unforgivable from a Manchester United standpoint. It's unacceptable for that to be happening at your football club. And you're just screwed, mate. You're screwed. And I don't know, man. I don't know what Amorim's meant to do. Is he meant to change? All right, so he changes and starts getting results. That's what Ten Hag did. And he still ended up badly. I think Amorim is playing this system because that's the system that was brought into play and he's highlighting to everybody. It's not Amorim's fault. Why is it Amorim's fault? Amorim was brought into it. They all knew that Amorim plays this system, right? You'd imagine, let's just say for 1 second, yeah, that the sporting directors, the people that appointed Amorim, let's just assume, yeah, we'll give them some credit here. Let's just assume that they knew the system that Amorim wanted to play. So why is it on Amorim to change his style of play when he comes in? That's not his problem. Yeah, I get what people are saying that he needs to win football matches. Yeah, I get that, but he was brought in to play that style of football. Now, all of a sudden, because you realise the players can't do it, you go, you need to change. But then if he changes, he starts getting results. You get to the summer and everyone's like, well, we don't need to do overhaul because, he ended up with, 8 wins out of his last 13 games. Everything's fine. No, everything's not fine. And that's the problem that he's got. If he changes the system and it works a little bit, you'll get to the summer and everyone will go, oh, you don't need a rebuild. No, you do need a rebuild. So I don't know. To be honest with you, I just think your club's such a mess. Obviously, I love to see it. Your club's such a mess. I think it's all down to the sporting directors. It's all down to the ownership. The way that club has been run over the last couple of years has been crazy. I think the trophies have glazed what has gone on badly there. And I just don't see it getting any better. And this talk of winning a trophy winning the Premier League in 2028, yeah, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, that is laughable. That is laughable because you're not going to win the league in 2028 because this, if you stick with this manager, you need a whole new squad. You need a whole new squad.
Yeah. So before I go to Potsy, I agree with 95% of everything you've said there. The only element I would change is the slight tone in not the tone, actually. The tone's fine. Football doesn't end at the end of this season. There is the pre-season and then there's a new campaign. So you are right that we cooked this season. I think we spoke about that maybe 2 months ago. I looked at it and went, what LB said in the summer, if we don't change managers and then change midway through, you're writing off a whole season. And you were spot on about that. This season is a complete write-off because we changed not just manager, but complete direction mid-campaign. Absolutely spot on. And that is on Ineos. That is on the Glazers. That is on the sporting directors. That is on everybody that made that decision to keep Ten Hag. There is no doubt about it. However, at the same time, you've now made a decision to bring in Amorim. So I just don't see any logic in suddenly saying, right, we brought you in to build this philosophy. We told you we're going to build you a squad for this. We said we want to be wedded together and sing off the same hymn sheet and pull in the same direction because that's something this club hasn't done in 11 years. You can't go 3 months into that and then say, actually, mate, just go back to that 4-2-3-1.
So what do you disagree with
play
me
our
on?
way.
You said you disagree with me on 5%.
So 5% is more around the way what you said sounded. It was almost like that's it. There's no way back. I still think this is recoverable, but I think what they have to do is back the manager.
No, I think it's recoverable, but I think it's going to take a long time.
Well, that I understand. I mean, you agree on that part. I've said all along, I think it takes 3 to 4 years to get us back to be able to compete. So the only element I would say is that we've made a mistake by doing it mid-season. But I think one thing people are forgetting is that there is a high chance that starting this implementation of this system in November means we can start next season better if we have a good summer. Because otherwise, it's not just pre-season. If we were starting a whole overhaul from the summer, you've got 6-7 weeks of pre-season, then you start playing games. This way, you've had 9 months of implementing the system and a pre-season and new players.
No, and I hear that. My problem is when I say you need a new squad, bar maybe 3 or 4, I'm being deadly serious.
I understand this, but we needed a new squad, in my opinion, whether we brought in Amorim, whether we went and got Alonso, whether we went out and got Thomas Frank, I still think we needed an 80-90% turnover of squad anyway, for the exact reason that we're seeing in the media today. Every time the pressure goes on the players, every time the fan base, every time the media starts to say, are those strikers good enough? Are those centre-backs good enough? That midfield don't work. Bruno ain't that great a captain. Rashford's a bit this. Pogba, Martial might be a little bit. As soon as the pressure goes on the players, the stories come out. And sometimes it's training's too hard, then training's too easy. Tactics are too difficult. Tactics are too simplistic. Manager's too harsh. The manager's too easy. If you go back through the archives of player leaks into the media, every time the pressure is on them, they throw the manager under the bus. And what I will say is that everyone who wants Amorim sacked today, you could end up being right. This manager may be a bust. I just want to try something completely and utterly different to what we've done before. We've picked Amorim now. He has a style, he has a system, and there's profiles he needs for it. Over the next 3 to 4 years, let's build it and then see where we are. Because I fervently believe if we make this manager adapt and bring in somebody new, and then he fouls and someone new comes in, we make him adapt, but the players still rule the roost. we're never going to get to the end of the rainbow. We're always going to be starting over and over and over again. And we might as well fold the club. If we don't try, the United fans say to me today, Terry, we just got to drop this bullshit project nonsense and go and get the best manager in the world, a win now manager, and start winning. So, well, how long will it take him to win? Well, I'll probably take him 3 or 4 years. Okay. So in that period of being 15th to winning, the players are going to come out. The players will come out and slag him off because there'll be ups and downs. Then what? Well, then that proves he ain't the right guy. So we find somebody else. And I'm sitting there listening to him, or reading rather than listening, and thinking, you're not noticing the mistake here. Every time these stories come out, our fan base turn on the manager, we get rid of him. We never actually complete what you're asking for us to go and do. So whether it's sticking with Amorim or going for a win now manager, I'm telling you this now. There's not a single manager on earth who could take over Man United now and get us into a title race next season. Pep couldn't do it if Klopp was his fucking assistant. It's impossible. It's going to take years. And that, I think, is the biggest... Not every opinion is wrong from people. You don't have to like Amorim. You don't have to think Conte is the right guy. The time. Anyone who thinks this can be fixed in a summer or two, I have to say this, you're either a complete moron or a ball-faced liar. One of the two. Anyone who thinks it's a quick fix, you're an idiot. You're genuinely an idiot.
But that's what I said. So you disagreed with me on you said 5% you disagree, but
that's how something sounded. I didn't disagree with your points per se. Does that make sense?
Right.
I agree.
The point I'm making, right? Your football club, has recently sent out this letter to your fan base saying, as previously communicated, we are currently making a significant loss each year, totaling over £300 million in the last 3 years. Yeah. This is not sustainable. If we do not act now, we're in danger of failing to comply with PSR, FFP requirements in future years. And at the bottom of the letter, which is quite hilarious, they also say, finally, we are always happy to listen to fan-led ideas about ways to growing your revenue. So they're asking fans on how they can get more money. So what the point that I'm making is when I say you need a squad rebuild, I'm being deadly serious. That costs a lot of money. And when your club is writing letters to fans saying, basically, we're making huge losses, we're skint, we're almost about to breach FFP, and if you've got any ideas on how we could raise a bit of money, then that'd be great.
Have you seen? Yeah, but have you seen the first quarter returns under Ineos now? As in, since they've started running their project from July.
Well, that's great. That's what they said. They said the hope to get. But the point I'm making is
So yesterday they released their first set of accounts, which were from July until September, and in the previous July to September, I think we lost somewhere close to £30 million. We made a profit of £1 million. And most clubs don't make a profit. So, look, the club is going to scream poverty and continue to, even when we start showing profits on the accounts. They will generate, and that's, they're doing it in ways that I'm not happy with in terms of redundancies and pulling money away. They're doing all of this because they have to. The idea that they can just pump endless amounts of cash into the club is ridiculous. We know that isn't true. Otherwise Newcastle will be spending a lot more. Your owners will be pumping more money in. They are doing those things. We will build the squad. But for me, it doesn't matter that it's Amorim. I don't think this squad is good enough to win a league title if Pep joins tomorrow, if Conte comes in, if Ancelotti comes in. I still think it's going to cost a similar amount of money to build a squad for those managers over 3 years as it would Amorim. So I'm not married to the idea of Amorim per se. It's just this idea from Man United fans that there's a quick fix. And yes, we've gone backwards before going forward, but that's fairly normal. Now, it's a bigger drop. I was talking to a Liverpool fan yesterday where people forget that when Jurgen Klopp came in, we finished a position lower than when he joined. Then he started getting his players, then things. And I'm not saying Amorim's as good as him. There's loads of examples where things can get worse before they get better, especially when you're ripping something up. And I just implore United fans to have a little bit more patience and stop.
Can I ask you one last question, bro?
Yeah, of course,
because, and I know